welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Starting the show here early with you this Wednesday, and appreciate you being here with us where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /Wake Up Call DT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, of course, inside these Great Lakes Honda City Studios. So however you're connected with us, I thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. And head to Great Lakes Honda City today. Let them know that DT sent you. They're open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. And of course, they're always open online at Great Lakes Honda City. .com. Got a lot of great stuff coming up for you today here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So we're going to hop right into it inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', giving you the list of topics and guests for the day. We'll be starting things off with the ingredients to success. We typically do this on a Tuesday, but with a little change in schedule this week, we're going to start off Wednesday's show with the ingredients to success. So we appreciate you being here with us for that, and we appreciate you hanging out where sports truly meets that thing called life. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the ingredients to success this morning, and then from there we're going to jump in to my conversation with Austin Collins, Syracuse Orange offensive line alum. Spoke with him going into the NFL draft, and now he has a rookie minicamp invite to the Philadelphia Eagles. He'll be joining us at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and we'll also round out the show with an all-new Commissioner Corner, this time featuring WAC Commissioner, Western Athletic Conference Commissioner Rebekah joining the show for the first time ever. So with that being said, let's hop right in to the ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicolli's. The topic today, listen to hear. What does that mean, listen to hear? Well, it means that when somebody else is talking, don't simply listen so that you can speak. And yeah, just waiting for them to be done talking so that you can say what you want to say. Instead, listen to hear what they have to say. Listen to hear the person and truly take in the information that they're giving you, what they're talking about, what matters to them. Listen to hear them, not simply to just speak, right? Listen to hear as opposed to listening to just talk back and say, okay, well, these are my thoughts and this is what's on my mind. You know, some of us ask questions to other people, not because we really want to hear what they have to say, but we want them to ask us what we think so that we can say what we want to say. And I think it's truly important. It's something that I'm teaching the CNS Junior High School this week about the art of interviewing, is listening to actually hear what a person has to say, to truly listen to them and hear what is going on in, what's going on in their life, what matters to them. That's what we're doing here. We're listening to hear as opposed to simply listening to speak. So, and this is something that you have to actively do. It's something that you really have to think about when you're talking with somebody, because we all have thoughts and we all have opinions and we all have things that are on our minds, but are we taking the time to really take in what other people have to say to us? Because we live in a world where there's a lot of me-centric things that are going on. There's a lot of me conversations that are going on, and there's a lot of focus on the me and as opposed to the we. There's a lot of focus on that. And when there's focus on, me over we, people get lost. People get put in places where they're not essentially paying attention to what's going on around them. And you know what you think. You know what you feel. You know what's on your mind. So if you're going to talk to other people, why don't you make it about what they have to say and what matters to them as well? You know what I mean? Because, and I've said this to myself before, and I challenge myself because I've failed at this many times, is that when you're talking to someone, if you're the only one talking and you're not listening and you're not really taking it in, you essentially could be talking to anybody. You could be talking to the wall. So make the person that's on the other side of the conversation matter. And how do you do that? By actually giving them an opportunity to speak and actively listening to that. Because if you're talking about something that's important to you and you're just talk, telling your story, then you're not listening to what they have to say. And if you're just telling your story and you're just saying what you think, and let's say you call someone for advice, right? And you call them and you tell them everything you've been through, everything that's going on. You tell them the whole story, you paint the picture. And then you call the next person and you do the same thing. And then you call the next person and you do the same thing. And then you call the next person and you do the same thing. Then you haven't really essentially made the person on the other end of the phone matter. You haven't given them a place where they have value. And if you're doing that, if you're not giving that person value, then why even have the conversation? You know, if I'm having a conversation with my mom and I'm having a conversation with my dad, I want to hear what they have to say. I want to hear what's on their mind. I want to hear what matters to them. And if I'm not listening and I just call my dad and I take up the whole conversation, and I call my mom and I take up the whole conversation, now it doesn't matter if I called my mom, my dad, or if, like I said, if I spoke to the wall, or if I just went outside and talked to a bird. You know, the person on the other end of your conversation should have value. They should matter to you. And if they don't, then you have to check yourself. Is it that person simply is not important in your life? Or is that you're so important to yourself, which you should be, but that you put yourself in a position where, you know, you're only caring about your needs, yourself, what's going on with you, that you're not paying attention to your surroundings. You're not paying attention to what's going on in other people's lives. Everybody's got something going on. And we've learned here on this show, here on Wake Up Call, that, you know, from Shamarko Thomas and what he said a couple weeks ago to a bunch of conversations we've had. If you're not listening to what's going on in life, you may miss something. If you're not listening to what's going on in other people's lives, why expect them to listen to you? And that's the biggest thing that I feel like we need to learn as a society, is that we expect so much from other people that we never demand of ourselves. We want them to hear us. We want them to listen. We want them to actively listen. We want them to help us solve our problems. But are we doing the same thing for other people? Are we sitting on the phone and letting them hash it out, have it out, say what they need to say? You know, treating other people the way you want to be treated, it is the golden rule, and it's something that people fail to do all the time. It's something that people sometimes maybe rarely even think about. But it is absolutely positively important. Like, if you call someone up and you spill all your problems, all your frustrations, all your worries, and you do that every time you call them, you're leaving them with all of this. But you're not letting them have a place where they can let go of theirs. You're giving them all of your problems, but you're not allowing them a place to release theirs. So just remember the next time you have a conversation with someone, to listen to them too, to hear what they have to say. And if you're asking for advice, to be quiet so you can hear it. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. This has been Listen to Hear inside of the Ingredients to Success, the topic for today. Make sure you head to Avicolli 7 days a week for fantastic Italian food right here in our community of Central and Upstate New York. They're open for lunch, dinner, and drinks. Of course, catering, takeout, and delivery. Call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100 for Avicolli's. And of course, you can find them online at myavicollis.com. We'll be back inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios right after this. Stay with us.
Avicolli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicolli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicollis.com. That's my AVICOLLIS.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on in to the neighborhood spot Avicolli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's KAMP ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily? Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. And now a message from Myers Creek Brewing Company, with locations at their Cazenovia Farm Brewery, Syracuse Inner Harbor Tap Room, and soon-to-be Lake Placid Tap Room.
Well, I think first and foremost, the Feldmeyer family and our team are extremely passionate about what we do. We care very much about what we do. The Feldmeyer family is always investing. Our taproom management team, our brew management team, our marketing management team, and all of the team members that get after it every day, they leave it on the field. They put their heart and soul into it. I know for a fact that everyone that works at Myers Creek wants to be there, and we want them to be there. You know, we want them to feel good about their job. And again, if you've never been to a Myers Creek, especially to the brewery, I mean, I want your eyes to open really big. I want you to see how big of a brand this is. I want you to see where we're going. The sky is the limit, and I feel very proud of that, and I'm very excited about that. When you think of designing a menu for a brewery, it's kind of open to a lot of different interpretations. I mean, you can do American, you can do Asian, you can do Italian, and you just have to find, you know, how that meets that pub style dining experience, that gastropub vibe. And I think it's super fun for us because obviously we know that, you know, everyone in the world's gonna sell a pizza or a burger or a french fry, but what can we do to be different? And what can we do to be true to who we are? We are a brewery, you know, a brew pub. So the flavor profiles are kind of all over the place. And I think it's super cool that we have a massive smoker at the brewery in Cazenovia, and we smoke a lot of our products. A delicious smoked turkey. We have barbecue ribs on Sundays. From a pulled pork sandwich to a chicken wing, and you go to the Inner Harbor and you go to the Kaz location, and you'll find similarities in the menu, but also things that are a little different, and also kind of fit those different demographics or different communities, and also hopefully just drive you to try every tap room that we have open at some point, because you get a little something different at each one. You know, we understand how hard it is to, you know, work every day and get after it every day, and when you're done at the end of your day, you want to go out and put your feet up in a good ambiance and good environment. So we take pride in that. We make sure that everyone knows that they're very much valued to us.
This is Jim Dispenza, owner of Game Point Sports Complex. You hear the same story across any sport that kids play and any sport that adults play. There's never enough places to play. That was definitely true with volleyball, definitely true with basketball. It could be cheerleading, it could be field hockey, which is what we're seeing now. Every sport has a lack of places to play, and I think Syracuse in particular is a place where it's really bad. Despite the fact that we've got a lot of athletic talent around here, we just seem to have not enough places for people to play, and they're going to different places. They're going to Rochester, they're going to, Buffalo. They're going all different places because we don't have a place here, and I felt like that should change. This was a long project from planning all the way through execution to opening the doors. A lot of work went into it, obviously, a lot of money, a lot of resources, and the dream always was kids being in the gym, having a good time. And I've always felt like sports is the most unfiltered joy that you can observe with people that people can experience, because it is fun, it is a sense of accomplishment, it's all of that wrapped into one thing. And so watching kids going up and down the court with big smiles on their faces has been just amazing experience. I'm looking forward to years to come of that same thing. We've taken the time to invest in multiple sports, and then what we're finding is the mere fact that we have a large, clean, well-lit space has opened a lot more doors for us beyond basketball, volleyball, pickleball. Now we're having some interest from cheerleading. We've got girls field hockey coming in, and then also there's quite a bit of room for spectators. We've got bleachers, we've got benches, we've got a concession lounge where people can get food and drinks. We're going to have multiple sports going at the same time, using every square inch of this place for what it was conceived for, which is basically people to come in, have a good time in the sport that they prefer. We manage each situation differently. Everybody has different ability to afford different things. Some are bringing 10, 15 people, some are just 2 people. I've had a lot of situations where it's a father shooting around with his son, it's a mother playing pickleball with her daughter or with her son, and then those situations come up and we work with people, and that's allowed us to have groups from 2 people up to 30 people and have some flexible pricing behind it. We're an organization that is here to work with the community any way we can, and I guess part of it is just making sure that we have the flexibility to put together a plan that makes sense regardless of the size of your group. So in order to book time, the best option is to go to our website, gamepointsports-syr.com. You can click from there and sign up for events, sign up for your own particular training, sign up for birthday parties, all of that.
And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Happy to be here with you, hanging out where sports truly meets that thing called life. And we are here inside of these Great Lakes Honda City Studios. As I mentioned, Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They are open for sales and service Monday through Saturday and all the time online at greatlakeshondacity.com. We're about to go picture in picture with a gentleman that has found his way into the NFL. Very proud of the opportunity that he has coming up here. Very happy for the man. And with that being said, we are now picture in picture with Austin Collins. Austin Collins spoke with us just a little bit ago within these last couple weeks. And since then, that NFL shield is up here in the corner because he'll be heading to the Philadelphia Eagles Rookie Minicamp for the Syracuse Orange offensive line alum. Austin, how we doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing very well. And first and foremost, I know I said it to you off the air, but super congratulations, man, for the opportunity to head to Eagles camp and show them what you can bring to the NFL.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So bring me into it. I mean, the draft happens day 3, going through, hoping to hear your name, and you get a phone call from your agent. Did it come during the draft? Did it come right after? Bring me into kind of how everything came to be.
It actually came the next day. So from what I learned, as soon as that draft happens, there are a handful of guys that send the UDFAs right after, but then the next day, a lot of the rookie minicamp and still a handful of the other UDFA invites go out. So Sunday is when I heard. So yeah.
So you get the phone call the day after the draft ends. So Saturday, the draft ends, rounds 4 through 7. You get the call on Sunday. Bring me into the process for you from Saturday into Sunday, just what you were doing, conversation with your agent, family, just between Saturday and Sunday, how things were going in the Collins household.
Yeah, so pretty much I had like almost like a round per round check in with my agent. Just him telling me what he's hearing from teams, and there's about 5 teams that were interested in signing me right after the draft. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. A little adversity, which happens to everybody, and that's completely okay. Um, then the next day, I was kind of the same thing. Woke up, call. He's like, should hear something today. Um, Between this time and that time, it was like I want to say 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Yeah.
I ended up hearing that mini camp invite, and then it was all all a little happy, all a little lighter feeling, and still really hungry and ready to work.
And for you, Austin, I mean, how did you go through this process? What did you do to kind of just calm your nerves, keep yourself focused? I mean, when you're going through the draft, you never know what's going to happen and what team is going to make that phone call and where you're going to be heading. So how did you kind of navigate this past week going through the draft and going through the post draft?
Yeah, I think just keeping a level head is one of the biggest things you have to do. Obviously, be realistic within your means. I realistically was a day 3 guy, and you just got to know. My agent's team did a really good job of good fits and bad fits based on trades teams just made or cap space issues within my position. So they did a really good job of kind of giving me an idea of where good spots will be, and even even if it's a bad spot, it's if you get that opportunity, you have to take it no matter what. So um, I felt well prepared going into the day, and it ended up working out.
You said your agents, your team did a good thing of, good spots, bad spots, kind of going through and figuring things out. As they were navigating through this, what was the conversation like with you about why Philadelphia?
Uh, Mainly because, at least on the football side, scheme fits really well with my play. More stretch zone. Um, you know, More movement based, I would say, and that's something I think I excel in better in my game. And obviously, I believe they only took one interior guy in the draft, so a combination of all those things kind of worked out for me to have a good opportunity here.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the interior offensive line, the depth chart heading into 2026-27. They don't have a lot of depth there in general, outside of even what they took. So was that another thing that you did some research on or look to, is that, the Eagles are kind of light in building that depth to the offensive line, so there can be a place, obviously, for you there interiorly.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I'm a guy that will be able to be pretty versatile and play any of the interior 3 positions. So I guess, as for the Eagles' depth in this case, I think it would be a good fit for me, and I would be of value to them.
And I think, it's important for people to know, and I've covered the NFL for many years, and I've been to a bunch of different training camps of different teams all around the country. For you, when you're working out at rookie minicamp for the Eagles, you're also working out for 31 other teams. Just to get
Right.
into that and just what the situation is, because you could be an Eagle today and a Patriot tomorrow, or you could be a Raven, or you could be a Ram. I mean, just to go into what rookie minicamp really is and how when you're working with a team, you're also still auditioning for the entire NFL.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt. I think word to mouth within the coaches and the administrative staffs of all these teams is very powerful. So even if it doesn't work out in Philly, hopefully my play could impress other teams enough to either give me a shot on their 90 man for the rest of the offseason, or practice squad, or impress enough to sign me to a 53, whatever it may be. But yes, you're 100% right in saying that you're not just going out there for Philly, you're out there for multiple other teams as well.
Yeah, so I mean, for you being in that situation of proving yourself, is this anything that's been is this new to you? Is it something you're used to? I mean, I've talked to some of the guys coming out of Syracuse and they said, "Hey, I'm used to being on a tough road. I'm used to having to prove myself and be in this position, so it's not like it's going to bother me that I have to do this again." How would you describe your journey and your road?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say pretty similar. You know, high school recruiting, I want to say I was under recruited, but definitely less recruited at now the P4 level. Only had 2 offers at the Power 4 level coming out of high school, and
Yeah.
a lot of people, a lot of coaches saying, I don't know what the heck you'll be in college, whether that's a 3 tech or an interior lineman. And me in high school playing, you know, truly in my heart, I was playing defensive end first and then offensive guard, playing both ways. But um, just really not having a definitive answer really until I got to college, and then having to work my way up for the first 2.5, 3 years of college. Yeah, I say it's been a grind, and it's nothing new to me, and it's something that I'm going to keep striving for this weekend.
You spent obviously the majority of your collegiate career at Louisville with the Cardinals. You said you had to work your way up. Bring me into what your road was like at Louisville and how that can help you in the NFL.
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, I was struck with adversity almost immediately, just being a COVID grad. Um, I think once you get that first little freedom in college, especially back then, I got hit with adversity immediately with, going to a little college athlete get together like 3 days before fall camp, and then I get contact trace and I'm not even able to do fall camp. And then I get back, I'm hearing crap from my teammates, or even some of the staff are giving me a little hard time, which is all fine. It's all good and lighthearted. But um, then we go into our first week, and then I actually get COVID.
Yeah.
I didn't even get COVID for the first time. So within the first 2 months of really doing football stuff, I was only a part of it maybe a week and a half. So I mean, that alone, and then um, going into the last game of my freshman year, having to, start a game due to COVID with very minimal experience at center ever in a game, let alone a collegiate game. So, and to pull a win out was even more impressive to me. But, then going the next 2 years with uh, 2 different O-line coaches, I had a new position coach every year, having to build a new relationship and showing what I can do, giving the best effort I can, while still trying to gain weight and get to the proper size needed to, be effective at the collegiate level. So I'd say it was a combination of just hard work and dedication to the sport.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you learned early on collegiately the business of football, and I think that can pay off dividends for you in the NFL because, like you said, you had multiple O-line coaches at Louisville. Then when you came to Syracuse, you had a different O-line coach. So you're going through the adversity of having to learn under a coach. And even if the coach had similarities, even if the coach had a similar scheme, when they come in, ego sometimes plays a part, right? So they want to change this, they want to change that. They didn't recruit you, you're not their guy, yada 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 yada. I've seen
Right.
talented guys be on teams before where a coach comes in and the guy rides the bench, and you're sitting here going, "This was this guy's year to step up and go," but is the only reason why he's not because this guy didn't recruit him and he doesn't want the other guy to get credit. So
Mm-hmm.
you know what the business is already because of what you've been through, because you've gone through all these different coaches and because you've gone from one team to the next. So how can that help you in the NFL? The fact that young kid Austin Collins was going, "Oh, I got an O-line coach. Oh, now I got a different. Oh, now I got a different one." I mean, you've already kind of seen the NFL in that respect.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say I just got to keep my head down and stay working. And the biggest thing I've heard is just going to be learn that playbook, and especially if I go out there at the center position, which I believe I will, it's going to be effectively communicating and being loud and relaying that I'm studying and I know the playbook that they're giving me.
How comfortable are you with that cadence? How comfortable have you become over the years with, because you have to have confidence, you have to be consistent, you have to be structured, you have to know the playbook. There's all those things that go into it. People forget. They think about the quarterback. It all starts with the quarterback. I was like, no, it starts with the center. It starts with the
Yeah.
center being able to know exactly what's going on with the quarterback, know the cadence of the quarterback, have your own cadence, be prepared, be ready, and to understand when the quarterback's trying to make somebody jump, to understand when that quarterback wants the ball to throw somebody off, and to be able to deliver that ball precisely and, make sure that you put yourself in a great situation. The first to touch that football on offense is the center. So what can you say to, your talent, your skill in hiking the ball, as well as your cadence, your eyes, your hand-eye coordination, all of the things that go into the center position that I rarely ever hear anybody talk about on a broadcast?
Yeah. I think for the most part, once you learn all of football, in terms of scheme, football is football. It's going to be a lot of figuring out the terminology and how, they use certain calls. But I think at the same time, like, you're 100% right. Like, at the center position, the center is getting the ball first. He's, making the line calls, making the combination calls with the O line, and tight end sometimes, identifying the Mike, Will, Sam, whatever kind of linebackers are out there, the nickel, having a full vision for the field and especially the front seven to effectively communicate to the rest of the line so we can get the goal handled for that play at any given time.
Yeah, and for you, I mean, how do you work out that relationship with the quarterback? You head into rookie minicamp and probably are not going to know the person that you're snapping the ball to. And so just bring me into, I mean, before you go and run a play, before you go and jump right into it, what are you trying to do in Philadelphia or wherever you are to be as we move forward here? What are you doing to build a relationship, get connected, get comfortable? Are there any elements of how you handle things to not just walk on the field and say, okay, we're going to do this, but to, kind of talk to the quarterback or quarterbacks about maybe what their comfort is here, what they're looking for, what their cadence is? Are you doing something extra before you go into the play?
Uh, yeah, I think for sure, relaying what the quarterback said and make sure we're on the same page is something huge. I think as far as cadence, Philly's going to have their own cadence. I'm sure when we get there,
Yeah.
the first day. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of install and it's going to be a lot of memorization stuff before we actually are on the field because I think one of the biggest things is these coaches, especially at the rookie mini camp, aren't going to want to see some bad ball due to lack of knowledge for what they're like installing, what they're trying to put in.
Yeah.
So I think really it just comes down to the mental aspect, and obviously, I would say the two smartest people on the field offensively at any given time are going to be the center and the quarterback. So um, I think if anything, it's going to be relaying it to the guys around us comparatively to the quarterback and the center.
When people think about football and they think about snapping the ball, they think it's easy. They think kicking it through the uprights is easy, and we see the fans do it at halftime at a Syracuse game, and we realize how hard it is. And then you look at the fact that, but shout out to one of my listeners, longtime listeners, and a member of my fantasy football drafts for the years, Justin Lasher, who within the last few years booted it through the uprights in the dome. But when you look at the kicking position, you look at the punting position, or you look at a long snapper or a center snapping the ball, fans typically kind of downgrade how difficult that is. You've done it for so long that it's second nature to you, but what can you say to the skill of the snap, which I think people don't even think about, because as soon as you line up, they're like, okay, what's the quarterback going to do? They're not even thinking about what the center's doing. So bring me into something that may become Maybe it's a reflex to you now, maybe it's second nature to you now, but just what it's like to be under center and snap that ball.
Yeah, I say that it's definitely become nature. I think obviously you have to get used to it. You have to put the work in, just like anything you do in life. You have to practice at it.
Yeah.
But once you get that feeling, in your arm and how you grip the ball and the amount of power you sling it back with, once you get that good feel and you know a quarterback's gonna like it, um, you kind of hit it right on the head of the nail, and you got to just replicate that and whatever kind of play you're doing and whichever way you're going, left or right, just be as consistent as you can with the snap.
Yeah.
And if you're able to do that, you'll get that trust of the quarterback that he won't have to worry where the snap's going to be.
For you being under center and spending all the time that you've spent there, what was the hardest part of it that you had to learn growing through the position of center?
I'd say probably pass pro. When you have a zero head up nose, I'd say just because they're crowding the ball and your first responsibility is snapping comparatively to getting your hands directly on them. So having to set pretty much vertical and try to separate and get some space after you snap the ball is probably was the biggest challenge. And I mean, now I think I've gotten it to a good place, but you never know with the competition you're going against each and every week.
Well, and at that center position, like you said, pass pro, you got the ball in your hands. So everybody else on the offensive line, quarterback yells hike, they get to shoot their hands out right away. You got to do something before you shoot your hands out. So what have you done if you lost that split second that every other offensive lineman has besides the center, what have you done to make up for it?
Yeah, there's a couple different techniques and drills you can do. There's a towel drill to get your offhand up immediately. And there's even another technique where it's called the donkey kick, where with your offhand, if he's really crowding the ball, smack him right in the helmet and try to get him a little disoriented and give you enough time to set back and give enough arm's length between y'all to, get your punch in and get your hands in the right spot to hold on enough for the quarterback to make a good throw.
Austin Collins here with me, Syracuse Orange and Louisville Cardinal offensive line alum, heading to the Philadelphia Eagles Rookie Minicamp. I did this last time Austin was on the show, but I'm going to do it again in case Philly, you're listening, or the other 31 NFL teams are listening, as we are around the country and the world here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Just want to share this with everybody. So, back in 2020, appeared in 69 snaps in one game, allowed one sack in 69 snaps. The redshirt year saw action in a couple games there in 2021. In the redshirt freshman year of 2022, 7 games, 29 snaps, did not allow a sack. In 2023, Austin Collins appeared in 13 games and was not able to play the bowl game due to injury. But in 13 games, 578 snaps, 1 sack in 296 pass blocking snaps. 531 of his snaps came at right guard, also saw action at center and at left guard in 2023. In 2024, 12 games, 7 starts at right guard. 542 snaps, all at right guard. Didn't allow a single sack or quarterback hit in 311 pass blocking snaps. Redshirt senior year, 2025, the 1 year at Syracuse this past season. 10 games, 9 starts at center, 576 offensive snaps, all at center. 1 sack over 9 games. Overall, appeared in 45 collegiate games across 6 seasons between Louisville and Syracuse, played 1,798 snaps, and allowed 5 sacks his entire career on 995 pass blocking snaps. So he talks about pass pro. He talks about blocking for the quarterback. In 995 pass blocking snaps in 45 games over multiple years, he allowed 5 sacks in 995 pass blocking snaps. So, Mr. Collins, if the Eagles are listening or the rest of the NFL is listening, almost 1,000 pass blocking snaps and 5 sacks over 2020 to 2025. I think that states that you should be on an NFL roster when it comes time to say we're in August. I think that's fair to say, in my opinion.
I appreciate that, and I mean, hopefully others see it that way. Um, I think, I had a long career, and just, Lord willing, I was able to, play as many games as I did, and my first job as an O lineman is to protect the quarterback. So, like you said, I I even wish I had given up less sacks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at 5 from 2020 to 2025 and 995 pass blocking snaps. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that sounds elite. It sounds like I'm talking about an all-pro in the NFL. So I would like to say that this rookie opportunity for Austin Collins, he would fit. I'll tell you this, Austin. I know you're going to Philly, and I hope it works out in Philly. But I'll tell you that a team that I've covered for many, many years, been on site for, been around their offensive line, interviewed their offensive line, multiple centers that they've had on the offensive line as well as guards. Jacksonville, they needed your help 10 years ago. So, and I'll tell you this right now, they got rid of their center. I don't know why. And they got rid of a guard that they could lean on as a guard or a center for many years that they paid almost nothing. I don't know why he's gone. So I'll tell you this right now. I hope it works out in Philly. But if you're looking for another shade of green, Jacksonville definitely needs the help.
I would love Jacksonville.
So there's definitely a lot of teams out there that need it. So what do you know about rookie minicamp? What do you know about kind of what's going to be put to the test? I mean, a lot of people hear about rookie minicamp, but they don't know a ton of information about it. So what have your agents told you or the Eagles told you about what to expect?
Yeah, so I fly in tomorrow. I think tomorrow's going to be a lot of signing papers, getting equipment. We don't even get in pads. I know that it'll just be helmets. And I mean, I know a lot of different organizations do theirs differently. I've heard, some only do 2 practices compared to 3. I know uh, some don't even do helmets, and it's completely just walkthrough and learning the playbook.
Yeah.
So I believe it's going to be, tomorrow's going to be pretty much getting all the back end stuff handled with paperwork and, probably meetings, install with the coaches. And then Friday, Saturday, probably you're going to be practicing, more meetings, then a walkthrough with more meetings. And then Saturday, they have my flight scheduled to get me back in Louisville around 8. So the schedule says that we'll be done by 2. So I think we'll have meetings and practice that morning. And then I'm not sure if they do, their initial, hey, we want to sign you immediately or what.
Yeah.
So that part I'm not really sure on, but I know we should be getting in 2 practice days to show our skills to the staff.
Well, and you said there's practice time, but there's also meetings. Do you know what these meetings will entail? Is it going to be you looking at film and breaking it down and telling them what you see? Is it going to be meetings about the playbook? I mean, is this essentially going to be an IQ test when you're doing these meetings, or what do you know on that side of it?
I'm sure it's going to be pretty football oriented in terms of install of the playbook, but also what you're seeing, and they're probably going to be looking at how I as a center, or even if they see me as a guard, how I diagnose a play, and you know how to know what to call, when to call it, and things like that.
If you were to be a part of this Philly team for the long haul, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, and so on and so forth. What can you say about blocking for an offense that has been explosive and based on what I'm seeing in the draft is only going to get more explosive, bringing in Mekhi Lemon, the Biletnikoff Award winner for top wide receiver in the country?
Yeah, I think all the weapons are there. I think you have a relatively young team that is, at least on the skill positions, looking to take it back to the Super Bowl. So I think there's a great opportunity there.
Austin, we didn't talk a lot about the guard position, left guard, right guard. If they were to ask you to shift to a different part of the interior of the offensive line, do you have a comfort level on one side over the other? I know when you're playing center, you're right at the middle of it all, but do you have at the guard position a more comfortable spot if it's left or right?
Yeah, definitely right. I'd say definitely right, but at the same time, playing center this past season, a lot of left, played a lot of going left, so now I'm a lot more comfortable with that. But I only say right just because that was the bulk of my snaps, 2023, 2024 at Louisville.
If you were to shift from right guard to left guard, what do you have to do for your body? Because I talked to a former Syracuse offensive lineman before that had to play right tackle. It was Sean Hickey. He had to play right tackle, then he had to play left tackle, then he had to go back to right tackle. He was talking about this mirror thing where he stood in front of the mirror essentially and thought about everything he did it right and then was training his body to shift and then see what that looked like, get comfortable with it. So bring me into what you would have to do with yourself to go from right guard to left guard or vice versa. What are the things that maybe somebody wouldn't think about that you have to do training your body? Because there's similarities, but you're also on the other side. So what would you have to do to kind of adjust yourself?
Yeah, I'd say obviously that mirror thing is very good. Um, Really, for me, just even playing center, I feel like it's such an advantage because I've kicked left, I've kicked right. Um, so really, it's just switching your feet and putting the other hand down, knowing that the your inside is now the right side of your body. The quarterback's on your right side, so you have to stay half a man inside of him on the left, and really just being able to um, keep up the technique, even if it's something you haven't worked on as much, knowing that everything you've done to the right is the same thing to the left. You just got to do it opposite, which I know is easier said than done, but um, really, it takes time, but you just got to keep working at it.
What do you bring to a team at the guard position? Like you said, you spent a lot of time collegiately, when you were playing guard, you were playing right guard at Louisville. What can you say about your abilities at the guard position? Maybe something we haven't talked about with you at center. What can you bring if you were to play guard?
Yeah, I think just my aggression. You take the snap out of it, it's even less time for me to get my hands on and try to work a D lineman. I like to be even more aggressive in my pass set at guard, and in the run game, it's easier to get your hands on them quicker and keep a better base and even better pad level. So I think a combination of all that, you're getting me as a player, but even quicker and even sharper comparatively.
Yeah, like you said, even quicker, even sharper, because you don't have to worry about hiking the football itself. With you, was there something at the guard position that you feel like challenged you the most that you overcame in college?
Mm, Not really. I think guard is okay. I'll say this: the one challenge is you're working outside and inside in terms of you're working with the tackle and you're working with a center in certain aspects of the game. So that technique and being, either tighter working with the center or wider working with the tackle, that can be a challenge at some points, whether it's pass or run. So um, that could be a challenge, but overall, I think for the most part, the guard position is pretty. I would say for me, it's easier to play than center.
I was told a long time ago from George O'Leary, former Syracuse assistant coach and head coach at UCF at the time. He said, "You build a championship team from the trenches. You build from the inside out. Anybody who doesn't know that it starts with the offensive and defensive line should probably get out of coaching and do something else." Why do you agree or disagree that anything in football, when it comes to building a championship, has to start in the trenches?
Yeah, 100% agree. It starts there. The feel like the play starts in the trenches with the center snapping the ball. So it is the quickest action you'll get on a field. Your O line and D line are going to be hitting some usually before the quarterback even gets the ball from the snap, whether you're in shotgun or whatever else. But um, if you don't have five guys on the same mission, knowing the play and being effectively communicated with, knowing what we all have to do on any given play to get it done effectively. That's just, you're not going to be successful if you don't have that.
I got to ask you this before we jump into rapid fire. Here with Austin Collins, Syracuse Orange and Louisville Cardinal offensive line alum, heading to the Philadelphia Eagles Rookie Minicamp this week for the 2026-27 season at the position of center as well as at guard. When you are on the offensive line and you are getting ready to snap the ball and you got the defensive line helmet to helmet with you right there, like you are breathing on each other, you are body to body, there's about to be a collision. How much talking is going on that O-line, D-line in the trenches? What we cannot see when you're lined up against a defensive line, how much of it is back and forth, razzing, saying stuff, I'm going to get you, no, I'm going to get you first. Like, how much of that is going on the O-line, D-line?
I mean, it's there for sure. I think it's harder for a center to do just because you're trying to communicate with all the other guys and tell them what to do.
Yeah.
But if you're a tackle and you got a end that you've been battling with, you're gonna hear it. Spoon's gonna talk some trash to you. Ferg's gonna talk some trash to you. Byron will talk some trash just because he's towering over everybody he plays.
Yeah.
So it's definitely there, but for me, I try to stay away from it just because I have to focus so much on the task at hand.
What interior D lineman talked the most trash to you in your college career?
Oh, it'd definitely just be guys on the team at Louisville. During practice for sure. Um, Even back when Caleb Banks, who was just drafted in the first round, when he was at Louisville, talked trash back and forth. Wu Spencer, who's now at SMU. Um, there's a bunch of guys that we had a bunch of back and forths.
So you mentioned Caleb Banks. He was a first-round draft pick out of the University of Florida after being at Louisville prior to, and he was at Louisville with you. What do the Minnesota Vikings get in defensive lineman Caleb Banks?
They're getting a dog. When he left Louisville, he gained a lot of weight, but he kept his athletic ability, and I think it just helped him to be even more powerful moving guys. I think he really learned at Florida how to use his leverage and use his body to really displace some offensive linemen.
And
so
you said without doubt, I mean, he was the name that came up at Louisville. What was he doing in practice? Was he just yapping the whole time, not shutting up? Well, I mean, what was going on with him?
I mean, it's just I was even younger at the time, but the more young you are, the more not immature, but in football, the more vocal you're going to be, I think. So um, it was just, and it made us better back then. He's like, or just anybody on the team. If you're going to get, or if you're going to talk trash, you got to back it up. But if you're receiving trash talk, you got to step your game up even more to shut them up, or they're going to keep talking to you all the way into the locker room.
Well, and that's the thing, like you said. I mean, the fact that they're going to talk to you all the way into the locker room, like they're going to keep it going. What besides Caleb Banks, was there somebody else, whether it was with you or with anybody on the team at Louisville or Syracuse, is there somebody that talked before practice started, during practice, after practice, in the locker room, while you're eating? Is there somebody that just wouldn't stop talking trash, be it Syracuse or Louisville?
Uh, I wouldn't say for the full time, especially with Coach Fran and how hard like we worked at practice. You're gonna
Yeah.
be too tired to be talking trash.
Well, and the thing with Fran, and I want to get your thoughts on this, but he definitely has the faith side, and he also is somebody, he's a fiery guy, right? He's a faith
Mhm.
guy, but he's a fiery guy. We know that he did not change himself. When the media was invited to practice, he was swearing. When the media wasn't at practice, I'm sure he was out there swearing. What
Yeah.
was it like to hear Fran talk trash? Because I was told by Tank Wilson, he goes, hey, listen, everybody out there is going to get it. He said, y'all going to get it. No one's safe. So what can you say about a practice with Coach Fran Brown at Syracuse?
Oh yeah, he's definitely talking, trying to get everybody riled up to put their best foot forward and give their best effort. Um, but we'd even be in like switching to the next period, whether we were on first downs, going to third downs, or inside run, or whatever it might be, and us all linemen are fat man trotting down to the middle of the field, and he's talking trash to us, and it would get to the point where sometimes you just gotta give him a little bump and shoulder check him and move on. But uh, yeah, he would get us riled up and going for sure.
Now, you mentioned somebody that other people mention at Syracuse, that Byron definitely has, he's got a little flair to him, got a little trash talk to him. Byron
Hmm.
Washington, he's a big guy. Came in as a freshman last year, like you said, towering over everybody, but he was 400 plus last year. What is it about Byron Washington that you think is going to be good for Syracuse's offensive line moving forward? And then secondly, is he really as much of a trash talker as people say he is?
Um, yeah, he's going to be a very good offensive lineman the next couple of years for Syracuse. He's just going to continue to develop his body. I think that's one of his biggest things, and in terms of the weight and being able to still move, being that big. But yeah, Byron talks because he knows not many people are gonna mess with him uh, back to him. So he definitely likes to. He's also an only child, so he views us more as a brother than really a teammate. I mean, we all view each other as brothers, but him even more so, just not having that as much growing up.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, that brotherhood is. Are there people on the offensive line at Syracuse that are currently on the 2026 roster that you're going to miss the most on that offensive line? Maybe people that you've become really close when it comes to brotherhood.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, all last year, my hotel roommate was Trey Mack, so he's definitely one of my boys. We always go golf and whatnot. So definitely miss him, Joe, Byron, and all the younger guys too as well. They're going to be able to put their best foot forward this year and show their skill on film.
So, Austin, for you, before we jump into rapid fire here, really quick, just what you want to say to Philadelphia, to the NFL, to the 31 other teams that are not named Philadelphia about what you're bringing to rookie minicamp, what you're bringing to the table, what you can bring, and why another phone call or a few phone calls should come in at the very least for the opportunity for you to showcase yourself around the country.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it all I have. That's all I can do at this point. I'm going to work to know the playbook inside and out at any position, interior line wise. I'm going to be able to effectively communicate and make sure all five linemen, running back, tight end, and even quarterback know the call I'm making. Um, you're getting a dog, a hardworking guy that's been called undersized for as long as he can remember, but still been able to produce on the field. So you're just getting a guy that's going to be hardworking and a dog and going to impress you at the end of the day.
Well, and when people talk about size, right, the things that you can't control, like these are your arms, these are your legs, this is, this is what you have height wise, da 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 da. How do you combat that? Because it's something that annoys me when I hear it, when they say, well, I just heard it recently, Reuben Bain Jr. in Miami, his arms aren't long enough. And I was like, you're really not going to draft Reuben Bain Jr.? Are you insane? So,
Yeah.
I'd love to get your thoughts on, the measurables that you can't control. You can control how fast you run, how high you jump, different things that you do in technique and whatnot, but you can't control how God made your body. So what do you want to say to combat the fact that some people just look at someone's body and they go, oh, well, that's not going to work because this is this and this is that, the stuff you can't control?
Yeah, you just got to hone in even more on your technique. Make sure it's even sharper because that's what's going to get you to where you want to be in a certain play, certain position on his pads, whatever it might be. So you just got to be sharp on technique.
Austin Collins getting ready for rookie minicamp with the Philadelphia Eagles, heading down there this week and looking for the opportunity to join a 53-man roster, which I think, again, 995 pass blocking snaps in his entire collegiate career and only 5 sacks in that. That means 990 times that quarterback is not on the ground losing yardage. Austin, let's play some rapid fire. What is your first question for me?
What's your favorite fast food spot?
That's a good question. Chick-fil-A, who I proudly work with, DeWitt and Cicero. If I had to choose one down south, I would say gotta be Zaxby's.
Gotcha.
Gotta be Zaxby's. Because of the seasoning on the fries.
Yeah.
My question back to you, if you were to have an Austin Collins special at a fast food chain, where would you have your special and what would it be?
That's good. I would say it would be I'm gonna switch it up, kind of fast food wise.
Okay.
It's gonna be a place called Hothead Burritos,
Okay.
and it's like a Chipotle or Qdoba, but in my opinion, better, just because there's a lot more topping options, and instead of it's still gonna have your rice and your meat of choice, but the toppings are gonna be more burger style,
Okay.
and it's gonna be more of like a burger bowl
A burger bowl. Okay.
comparatively to like a Mexican style bowl.
I like that. So it's like Tex-Mex. It's American. You've Americanized the bowl. I like that. All right, a burger bowl. I try it. What is your last question for me?
What are you hoping to accomplish the rest of this year?
Good question. I am getting back to screenwriting, so I'd like to write my script. I would like to do more acting. I would like for the one thing that I've prayed for more than anything else of an aspiration and a dream in my life that I hold close to my heart with God. I hope that comes to fruition and that I'm ready for it. And I would say, I hope to expand my business, which we've continued to do every year. And there's an idea that I have floating out there right now. And I really think that the places that I'm talking to about that idea, this would be a very innovative, original, electrifying, just exciting thing to do. So I'm very amped to say that I'm working on something that I've been working on, but I think I'm honing it, and I would love to see that come to fruition as well.
Okay, awesome.
My question back to you, Austin. If you and I could do an on-location interview anywhere, where would you and I go for the week to broadcast Wake Up Call live? And why?
I just got back from a little Gatlinburg weekend trip. I don't know how we'd get the equipment up there, but go on a 2.5-mile hike up to a little peak in a mountain and try to do an interview off the side of a mountain, something like that.
I love that. I love that. Call it Mountaintop. Wake Up Call Mountaintop. I like that. So that would be cool. I would do that. Listen, I'm all about hiking and challenging myself and my body and my spirit. So let's figure out how to get the equipment up there, Austin. I know I've carried heavy equipment on my back, so let's figure out a way to do something like that. I'm telling you right now, straight up, if we could do a mountaintop experience of Wake Up Call, I would absolutely do it.
Heck yeah.
Austin Collins, Philadelphia, you got a good one. I hope you realize that over this next few days here and beyond. Austin, I look forward to seeing you in the NFL because I believe in you. I believe in your dreams and aspirations. And I was very excited when you came into Syracuse from Louisville. I thought they were getting themselves an upgrade there and an opportunity on the offensive line. So I look forward to you being an upgrade to the NFL wherever you end up. And I really look forward to continuing to tell your story because I know you're going to be all right.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for having me on again.
Of course. Listen, be safe to Philadelphia. Go and get yourself a cheesesteak. Ish Kabibbles and Max's. Those two places I've heard good things about. Okay. I went to Max's. So make sure that's right by the Rocky Steps. Max is not too far from that. So get yourself a cheesesteak. Go do your thing. And I'll look forward to talking with you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Take care.
Yep. Bye.
That coming from Austin Collins here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life inside these Great Lakes Honda City studios. We're going to take a step aside, and we'll be back with our all-new Commissioner Corner episode, this time featuring, for the first time ever, Rebekah Ray, and for the first time ever, the Western Athletic Conference, the WAC, coming to us on Wake Up Call right after this.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Hi, this is Chris Rauda.
And Colleen Rakowski from Gray's Craze of Clay.
It's a fun, innovative, upscale catering solution. We've turned eating into a whole new experience. Each of our boards is packed with delicious mix of artisan cheeses. We use premium cured meats, fresh fruits, nuts, and all of the sweet touches that really bring out the best in every perfect bite.
We offer something as small as a grab and go that feeds one, maybe two people, to our large board that can serve anywhere up to 25, 28 people. So we have the ability to really meet and hopefully exceed all of our customers' expectations when it comes to the different varieties of things that we have.
Charcuterie boards or boxes are healthy, fresh, delicious. They're made to order. We're baking the breads here daily. We're baking the cookies here daily. All of our dips are homemade, made in-house. All of our spreads are all made in-house.
When you open that board or box that we have delivered or you have picked up, we want you to know that it was made with care and designed to completely elevate your event, celebration, or meeting.
We've catered parties and events for up to 300 people. So if you're walking in to grab something for lunch or something for date night or movie night, that's great too. Our events go from you eating in the car on the way home to a catering event in a rehearsal dinner or cocktail hour or party.
When we do, again, know what the event is, specifically for a wedding, we like to schedule tastings so the bride and groom can come in and see what we have to offer, and we can then, as we talk, to try to understand what they're looking for, what the venue's like. We do like to have that one-on-one interaction when it comes to catering bigger events.
Our address is 4599 State Route 31, Suite 5, in Clay, New York. We're on the corner of Route 31 and Henry Clay at Clay Marketplace.
You can order on the phone by calling area code 315-409-4171 or online at grayscraze.com/clay-ny. Come visit us at Gray's Craze of Clay, New York,
where we want you to celebrate everything.
Hey everybody, this is Rockney Roberts from Willow Rock Brewing Company. We are here in Cicero at the Willow Rock Pizza Pub.
And I'm Kevin Williams, also from Willow Rock Brewing Company. Happy to be here and happy to be partnering with CNS and Dan Tortora.
You want some place where you can feel comfortable and hopefully ingratiate yourself with the community. And Kevin, he grew up right down the road from here. I grew up in Brewerton, so not too far away. We know the area, we know the people, they're great, and we were just really excited to be able to come to the area.
Yeah, and having the opportunity to meet some of these coaches, some of the people in general already, and seeing the CNS colors kind of around, and already partnering on a smaller level with individual teams really made this make sense to us to really formalize kind of a partnership with the school and get this rolling.
You know, Willow Rock to me has always been about high quality beverages, high quality experiences, and now high quality food in our pizza pub. You know, that was something new for us when we came to Cicero. Right from the drop, we knew we were going to have a focus on the highest quality food to go with our high quality beer. At the Willow Rock Pizza Pub, you're getting high quality, hand cut, top notch ingredients. We're open for lunch. That's a really important thing for us, is to be able to get that person in here like, hey, you only got 30 minutes for lunch, but we're gonna have something for you that you can get quickly and available to everybody.
Yeah, we wanted something that was just a little bit outside the box, a little bit outside of comfort zone, but still something that you could rely on to be consistent and easy to look at and easy to be like, oh, I can see myself eating this. I can see myself wanting to have that more than once. Eating a whole pizza like our beef on WAC pizza, I've never seen one anywhere. It's just a great ideas, great inspiration across the board. We're their spot to stop. We're their friendly neighborhood watering hole, as well as pizza place and place to stop for a restaurant. Not just beer drinkers here. We've got wines, we got cocktails, we got non-alcoholic stuff for the kids.
The location is more important today than it ever has been before, and we're lucky enough to be here in Cicero. The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is a place where you can bring your family. You can come in, you can grab a soda, you can relax. You can come after a game, before a game, your parents, your grandparents. Our goal is to make sure that everyone's comfortable here. We want students, we want athletes, we want your coaches. It's going to be a good time. So come here, enjoy the high quality food, high quality beverage that we're going to offer to everybody. And hey, go North Stars.
We're so happy to have the North Stars. We are very much a kid-friendly establishment. We have tons of space outside for everybody to be playing outside, as well as listening to live music, enjoying some pizza.
The Willow Rock Pizza Pub is open 6 days a week here in Cicero. That is Tuesday through Sunday. And our website is willowrockbrew.com, and our socials are at Willow Rock Brew. So find us on the net, find us in person. We'll see you soon.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry loving friend. Right, Lily? In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Happy to be here with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. And it's my honor and my privilege in these Great Lakes Honda City Studios to be with you Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And we are now picture in picture here for this edition of the Commissioner Corner here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Like I said, I don't know anybody else how they do it and what they do it for, but here on this show on Wake Up Call, I want to make sure every conference has equal representation and an equal opportunity at the table to speak on not only their conference, but also on the national collegiate sports topics that are affecting every single conference. So I am here in this edition of the Commissioner Corner with Rebekah Ray. Rebekah's on the show for the first time ever, picture in picture here with us. And the WAC, a conference that I've covered for many years, watching from afar. And of course, in my coverage of the NCAA tournament, I make myself do a lot of work when it comes to every conference tournament. So that's how I got to know the WAC logo, the WAC name, the Western Athletic Conference. And of course, there's a lot coming up for the future of what is going to be in connection with the WAC. So with that being said, Rebekah, how are you?
I'm doing great this morning. Thanks for having me, Dan.
Absolutely, and happy to have you. And I mean, there's so much going on in collegiate athletics, but I think your conference in and of itself has a ton of things going on as well. So, I mean, you were the interim, you took over officially as the commissioner of the Western Athletic Conference, the WAC. Bring me into kind of how you came in the early 2020s to the WAC, then interim, then they take the interim tag off, because you've had an interesting road with the WAC in these last few years in and of itself.
Yes, interesting is definitely a great way to describe it. It's also been really phenomenal. So working with great people, so you don't get to beat that. I came into the WAC through an institution back in 2014. So before I started at the WAC offices, I had been at Seattle University, so been very familiar with Western Athletic Conference throughout a lot of my career, and been there, which served me very well, having a strong history of what some of the changes within the conference has been through. I think it would have been hard for someone to have stepped in and not had some of the background on some of the transitions and new pieces, but came into the WAC in 2022, and Brian Thornton, commissioner at the time, great leader in that space, and we did a lot of new things right off the bat when moved the offices to Texas back in 22, and had some change in our institutional makeup at that time, and then also, building out some different staff with anytime you move in office. So that's been great there. And then obviously stepping in the interim a couple of years ago, and then hopping on as full-time commissioner. So it's been a great journey, and honestly, through our leadership with our presidents, have been really phenomenal. So excited about where the WAC's going.
Well, and when you look at, I mean, the history of this conference, that's the thing that a lot of people don't really know when you look at the conferences today, is what were they, what have they been over the years. And when you look at membership historically, and we look at the WAC, I mean, there's so much to be said about how this conference truly has come to be, and all of the elements that were in it. And Western Athletic Conference used to be focused out west, right? And now we know that conferences, with realignment and everything that's happened, is you kind of piece it together in the best way that you know how, and do the best you can with it, because we're living in a world where there's a lot of poaching, there's a lot of things happening, there's realignment, there's reclassification and whatnot. So when you look at the history of the WAC, what would you like people to know about kind of how this conference has come to be? And I guess right before your answer on that, I mean, let's look at the charter members. Arizona, Arizona State, BYU, New Mexico, Utah, Wyoming, all West, right? When this conference was put together back in 1962 on July 27th. And then we look at UTEP, Colorado State, San Diego State, Hawaii, as well as Air Force, Fresno State, UNLV, Rice, San Jose State, SMU, TCU, Tulsa, Nevada, Boise State, Louisiana Tech, Idaho, New Mexico State, Utah State, Denver, Seattle U that you mentioned, UT Arlington, UTSA, Texas State, Cal State Bakersfield, Chicago State, who then went independent, Grand Canyon, UMKC, UTRGV, Utah Valley, Cal Baptist, Utah Tech, Tarleton State, Abilene Christian, Lamar, Sam Houston, Stephen F. Austin, Southern Utah, UT Arlington. This, I mean, I just named a ton of teams that we know from other conferences now. You look at the SMUs of the world that are now inside of the ACC, TCU in the Big 12. We look at Boise State's road and how they're realigning right now. I mean, the history of the WAC has so many incredible institutions, and I'd love to kind of go into that a little bit, because the story of the WAC is not simply told over the last few years. This is 1962 to today, and I think there's a lot that people don't know about what this conference has done to grow, to develop. And yeah, these schools are now in other conferences, a lot of them, and finding success, but they first came through the WAC, and I think that's something that shouldn't be forgotten.
Right. Well, I'm glad that you say it. I agree wholeheartedly. So, I think the WAC was the first super conference. We were the first one with 16 and a big group, and FBS and big power hitters. And when we've transitioned, and that created what is now the Mountain West, and that was one of the first big split offs where they split into football and non-football conferences. And so ever since that point, I think you named off a lot of institutions, obviously. So ever since that point, the WAC has been looking to find its niche, and has been a great conference for institutions who wanted to come in and grow, to be, to continue to elevate their institution and be a part of that. And so I think that's been a great part of how the WAC has been carrying forward, is making sure that you're providing meaningful experiences with education competition, but our strength has been in being adaptable and being innovative and being focused on what the goals of our member institutions are and driving them forward. So it's been pretty wild. I hope that you've been able to see we've tried with, as we are going into a rebranding in July, wanted to celebrate that storied history since 1962 and all those pieces. And so have gone through sport by sport. We still have a few more coming. I think that men's golf just came out, and we'll be able to keep going. But the number of incredible athletes and coaches and teams that have been through the WAC it's pretty special. Our office has had a lot of fun looking back and making sure that we remember those pieces.
Well, so that brings me to this, Rebekah. The world, I guess, if you don't learn from your history, there's something about history repeating itself, right? Mm-hmm. We had super conferences. You said the WAC was the first super conference, first to 16. Now we have them again. Is this kind of surreal, ironic, strange? What would you call it? The fact that we are now in a place where we are seeing 16, 18, maybe some trying to go toward 20 in their conference as realignment continues here, and I don't think it's done. We had super conferences, then they broke up and dispersed. Now we're back to super conferences. Your thoughts on that?
I think that a lot depends on the situation. I would say that the biggest thing to strengthen a conference is making sure that you are aligned in your priorities and your goals, and feel like you have institutions that are all rowing in the same direction. If you are voting on conference legislation and you have split votes, you've got a problem. And I think as we look at that as a commissioner and make sure that our institutions, while challenging each other and having their own individuality, they need to have the same common goals. And so I think that part of the WAC transition was the biggest difference of institutions that had FBS football and institutions that did not. And that was a big part of why that transition happened at that time. And so I don't want to say or wish that or say that that's going to automatically happen to another conference because we never know. But I'd say the biggest focus is in the alignment and less about the actual number of institutions. You can have, not all addition is additive. And I think that's a big thing that we focus on as we develop our new membership and make sure that, we're adding institutions that want to be a part of our organization and are going to strengthen it and be a part of the core. And so that's really important when you're talking through. So, the super conferences now, I think it's a different situation because they do have more alignment in what their goals are, for at least from my perspective. And so that holds them together really well. And so could see that. I also think that the financial position is a little bit different in how that's offered, and what the media rights deals look like are very different than what they looked like back when the WAC and the Mountain West had that change.
Yeah, and going through the change that you're going through right now, and you alluded to it, but to kind of break this down, and I have you here, and then in another commissioner corner I will have of the Atlantic Sun, Jeff Bacon, and to really, dig through this. But I want to give essentially what's happening right now with the WAC, and then let you take it and describe this, because I think this is something that needs to be put out there. Hence why, having this commissioner corner is so important, especially right now. The WAC will rebrand as the United Athletic Conference, the UAC, July 2026. You see the logo next to the WAC up here on the screen right now. The intended membership of 8 institutions for the UAC includes Abilene Christian, Austin Peay, as well as the University of Central Arkansas, Eastern Kentucky, North Alabama, Tarleton State, who's been a giant killer, UT Arlington, and the University of West Georgia. The ASUN will maintain a roster of 7 members, Bellarmine, as well as Florida Gulf Coast, Jacksonville University, Lipscomb, North Florida, Queens University of Charlotte, and Stetson. And so more into kind of this ASUN WAC consortium, I'd love for you to get into, what does this mean? What is the rebranding to the UAC? What does this do for the WAC? What is coming? There's other elements to it, but I kind of want to stop where I'm at here because people are asking, who's going to be a member of what? What's the WAC going to be? If the WAC is gone completely, does the WAC become the UAC? What does that mean for you, Rebekah, as you step forward in your leadership? I'd love to really let you be the one to tell the story of something that people are trying to understand in what's coming in July of 26.
Yes, thank you. Well, we're doing something new. I think, our vision is to build something sustainable through a strategic partnership because, we want to be better for our member institutions. Those member institutions you named are the inaugural group that we started this with about a year ago, I guess a little less than a year ago. And that was the inaugural group. Since then, we have added to where we will have 9 members in the UAC, and we will have 8 in the ASUN. So Little Rock, Arkansas Little Rock will join the UAC as well. And then West Florida, Division II institution that we just added a few weeks ago. And they'll be joining the Atlantic Sun Conference as a multi-sport member, but they will be an affiliate in the United Athletic Conference to play football. So they'll join as a football and make a 8th football institution within our FCS. I think in the simplest term, we're going to have 2 conferences that work together a lot. And that is the most simple way to do it. The WAC obviously is having some membership changes where we have some departing institutions. And we will be adding in 5 of the institutions from the Atlantic Sun as well as Arkansas Little Rock to make 9. And with our furthest west institution in July of 2026 being Abilene Christian, wanted a name that felt like represented those institutions. And I think we talked about it earlier in the history of the WAC and the value of that and wanting to make sure and honor that name. I think this wasn't a decision that was made lightly, but felt like a rebrand of the conference to show more about what those institutions are and represent those institutions was important to the membership. So the WAC will have those 9 institutions and rebrand to the United Athletic Conference, which was the brand on all of the campuses for the football organizations through the single sport football conference that had pre-existed. So essentially the single sport football conference is now going to be what the WAC continues on as. So I think for the WAC, that's a big membership shift and a rebrand is what that looks like. And that's step 1 of what we're doing. Step 2 is we're going to work together in partnership with the ASUN. I think as we build our leadership structure, Jeff Bacon and I working together as commissioners and will stay on as commissioners. He'll be the executive director of the organization, and I'll be the chief administration EVP that oversees stuff for both conferences. So we'll be supporting both conferences and have a staff that's built out to help support that. And I think that the goal with that is that we can be smarter and more nimble in how we're spending money so that we can reduce expenses, we can leverage our assets such as our media rights deal, which are both conveniently up for both conferences. And so being able to leverage those media rights immediately and build value for our institutions is huge. So we're also going to be able to provide both conferences additional home games, meaningful home games. So, you'll see particularly in our basketball season that you're going to have a conference schedule, but we're calling them crossover games. So the conferences will play each other each year and have, you can get 2-3 additional home games for your institution against meaningful Division I opponents, which is extremely challenging, particularly in the men's basketball space right now. So being able to build together and just have that built-in partnership to support each other has been really great and looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I appreciate the background on that because it can get confusing, right? Some people see the United Athletic Football Conference and they say, okay, so it's just football. And then you're saying, no, there's more to this. We're going to have all sports here. We will have an affiliate member in West Florida joining in football, but that the Atlantic Sun has their membership, full members. The United Athletic Conference, not the United Athletic Football Conference, but the United Athletic Conference itself, which is encompassing everything, that you will have 9 full members and that Correct. The ASUN will have their full members. and that there will be affiliation between the two. You said that Jeff Bacon will be the executive director. You'll be executive VP of both conferences. So are you the commissioner of the UAC? He's the commissioner of the ASUN, and then of the consortium, he's executive director, you're executive VP, or do they both come together and there's just an executive director and an executive VP?
I think that how that lands, we'll be working through. We'll both stay on as commissioners and in the NCAA landscape and be in that space supporting and how we align that. And then, but we'll maintain. One of the confusing things I get from our membership is, do we still have an office? I was like, yes, of course. So we'll still maintain the United Athletic Conference office here in Arlington, where I'll be based, and the Atlantic Sun office in Jacksonville, where he'll be based. And so I think as we work through that, and he's the CEO of the consortium, but commissioner of the ASUN or UAC. We haven't quite landed on all of the details, and we're still working through it. I think this is something that as we go through and we continue to build this organization, we want to make sure it's best fit and how it works forward.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, it's things to work out, but it can get confusing, right? Because people that know the WAC history, know what the WAC has been, people like myself that, every single year I'm covering, especially like I said, when the NCAA tournament, I'm looking at all the conferences. Now I'm looking to the UAC as opposed to the WAC. But to really know, like, will this have its own identity? Will it fall, into the ASUN, or is the UAC truly going to be branded, be its own entity, be itself, have its own leadership? And even though there's this consortium of sorts, that the WAC is essentially moving into a new chapter to not lose its essence, but to essentially be rebranded as the United Athletic Conference, is something that I wanted to really get out there today and let people know, what is this going to be for those wondering, is the WAC disappearing or is it just rebranding into the UAC?
Just rebranding into the UAC. And I think that's an important clarification. And as you mentioned, both having their own identities. These are different conferences with different goals in some areas. And so I think how they interact, one being a football league and one not being a football league, and how those priorities change just from a very baseline level. But I think if you look at the two conferences, the Atlantic Sun is primarily, it is a lot out of Florida, and it has quite a few private, smaller institutions. Whereas the UAC is more in Texas, in the central region, Kentucky, Tennessee, obviously Georgia and Alabama as well, Arkansas. So through that central region, and it's a lot of larger private institutions, or public institutions, excuse me. I think Abilene and Christian is the exception in that space. But the demographic and the challenges that those institutions face are different. And so I think it's really helpful for them to be able to have their own identity while being able to work together in partnership.
Yeah, and when we look at the WAC becoming the UAC and this consortium with the ASUN, I'd love to get your thoughts on what I'm about to read here, which is one of the aspects of the alliance, the independent operation with shared efficiencies. And I know you've alluded to this a little bit, but while both the ASUN and the newly branded UAC will retain their independent conference structures and automatic qualifiers to NCAA championships, which is important to know, they will partner within a broadly defined consortium. The consortium will facilitate collaborative scheduling, which I know you've spoken about a little bit here, the leveraging of collective assets, and the exploration of various shared operational efficiencies designed to benefit all member institutions. I'd love to know what that means, because to a fan, they're like, hey, this is like law speak to me. I want to understand what that means. So the NCAA championships still having automatic qualifiers for both conferences, I think, is important, and that's well understood. And then scheduling helping is understood. But the word consortium, a lot of people, layman's terms, are like, what does that mean to me? So what does all of this mean? What is the consortium? Why form that specifically? And what is that going to do moving forward?
Well, one nugget I'll tease is we will have a new brand for the overarching organization that helps support both of the conferences. A little bit of a teaser, but we will be able to stop using the word consortium. As I agree with you, it can be a confusing term and has been with some of our membership as well. So as we move forward with that, essentially that's going to be able to what our staffing structure looks like and how we support those institutions. So, a lot of mid-major conferences aren't able to have a robust marketing department that is able to be revenue driven. I think as you build out the staff and what you need to have those core pieces, this gives us the opportunity to be able to have a little bit more robust and look towards some of those revenue driving decision making and share a videographer between two conferences. We can have someone with that skill set that's there. We'll have one compliance department that oversees and supports both conferences and the person that as we do, obviously some of the positions like our basketball staff, we'll maintain 2 staff members that oversee basketball and what that looks like and have sport administrators for both conferences over each sport. So that'll maintain, but some of our staffing is able to be streamlined so that it's more focused in that space.
So for you, Rebekah, your leadership moving forward with the UAC, how confident are you that you're going to have that place, because you're the commissioner of the WAC right now? Do you feel that as we go to July 2026 and beyond, that you will have a prominent leadership role and that you can be the voice of the UAC?
Oh, of course. So Jeff Bacon and I, Commissioner of the ASUN, built this together. I think that this is something that we've been locked in on as a group, and our presidents have been locked in as a group. And I think that collective vision has been a part of this all the way through, and we're in this together. So we're fully aligned and speaking from the same voice in that space. And so I have no hesitancy in that answering there.
And I mean, the national scope, I feel like with everything going on within the WAC, you have more than enough to focus on. But in the national scope, here with Rebekah Ray, Commissioner Corner, Commissioner of the WAC, and soon to be rebranded in July 2026, the United Athletic Conference, the UAC, as we are here on Wake Up Call inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. And of course, I'm your host, Dan Tortora. NIL, transfer portal, realignment, reclassifying schools. You mentioned West Florida that's reclassified and is going to be an affiliate member for football of the UAC and joining the ASUN as a full member. With everything that you're dealing with the consortium, what that's becoming, what the WAC is becoming, this connection to the Atlantic Sun, making sure people know the UAC is more than football, plus all of these other national things going on, how fun is your day in any given day? Bring me into that.
The days are full, for sure. So you're able to continue forward, but that's nothing new in college athletics. I think that, wearing a lot of different hats and making sure that you're paying attention to things, that's not new to the industry. And these kind of transformational shifts aren't new to the industry. So, it's a lot of fun, I'll say, because, it's fun to build something new, and we're in the heart of our spring championship season. So, getting to see the athletes competing and going forward in those championships, like it just brings the joy for me personally. And so, I think that there's a lot to go forward with, but like I said, when you're working with good people and you have great institutions that are driving forward, it makes it a lot easier. And so we are keeping up, and that national landscape is definitely making sure, but we've got a great team that's supporting and making sure we can drive forward. But yes, the days they are full.
Well, that being said, for this Commissioner Corner with Rebekah Ray, we do something on the show that commissioners never get to do, which is you get to ask the questions. So we're going to go in a thing called Rapid Fire, and it gives you an opportunity to put me on the hot seat, any topic, any question, literally anything in the world, and we'll go back and forth. So you'll ask one, I'll ask one, we'll go back and forth for a couple here. Rebekah, what do you have for me?
Okay. Ooh, this is a different seat. From your perspective, yes, let me see where I'm going to start. What's the biggest misconception in college athletics right now from a media perspective.
I don't think college athletics knows what it is right now. And I think that the NCAA is to blame for that. And I made a prediction, Rebekah, probably almost 9 years ago, which is crazy to think it's been that long. But when I was here on the show, talking on Wake Up Call, I said 5 to 10 years from now, which is now almost 9 years ago, I said 5 to 10 years from this moment, if the NCAA continues down the path that they're on, doing things differently for different institutions, they may look very different than we know them to look if they exist at all. That was my prediction. Then NIL happened, transfer portal happened, and all this other stuff that made that prediction kind of ramp up and speed up. I think a lot of things, and I know some people might say this is a conspiracy theory, but when COVID happened, all of this stuff got passed. When people were paying attention to a pandemic, terrified, didn't know what was going on, are we all going to die? Do we have to stay in our house? Can I see my loved ones? That's conveniently when NIL passed. That's conveniently when the portal opened up the way that it did. So I am kind of calling out some things in 2020 to say all of this stuff that would have never passed that easily, that quickly, with no parameters, would that have happened if there wasn't a look over here? And I keep asking people to really think about 2020 because we changed college athletics overnight when nobody was paying attention. Or people were paying attention, but they were focused on something else that was far more pressing. I don't know how college stays college. They're student athletes. Do we care about students anymore? Do we want them to go to class? Does a free education mean anything? I know it means something to me. I got recruited D3 for basketball, and my education, I had to pay student loans. I got a lot of money because I had really good grades. So I got a lot of money, but I still had to pay student loans. My family took that burden when I was in school. I took it when I came out. And I look to the student side of things, and I look to something, Rebekah, that I know I've said a lot to those that have listened to multiple shows here recently, but I have to kind of bang this drum home. Mom and dad take care of you, or whoever you live with. They take care of you. Then you're on your own. That bridge in between where you're living in the real world, but you're not, is essential because it bonds the world of I'm still protected, but I have to do some things on my own, and I have to learn. If we don't have the bridge, if we just make this about sports, if we just make these semi-pro leagues and we take out the education of it all, number one, we're destroying our country, which they're already doing a great job of that for education. But we're destroying the bridge between the two that takes, I don't know, everybody's taking care of me and I'm taking care of myself. That bridge in between of learning how to, that's what nobody talks about. Yes, it's great to be an athlete. It's great to play a sport. It's great to get out there and hopefully play pro and make millions of dollars. Yes, wonderful. But most of them are not going to. A very tiny percentage of NCAA student athletes at any level are going to play pro. So why would we destroy the bridge that teaches a young kid how to be an adult? That's the thing I'm most concerned about. So that's where I stand. That's where I would tour the country and question and say, what are we doing to the future of this country and the future of this world if we're not giving them the tools to be able to handle life after mom and dad stop taking care of them? That's my biggest concern.
Okay. Great answer.
My question back to you, Rebekah. If you took over my show tomorrow and it was Wake Up Call with Rebekah Ray, who are the 3 guests that you would have on the show and why?
Oh goodness. That's a great question. I don't think, I don't know that I'm going to choose that as my next career path, but if I did, I think some of the pieces, obviously, I think it'd be good to hear from leadership, but I think I'd continue. This may be a cheat answer. I like that you're bringing forward the different commissioners and showing this voice. And I think as you were talking about, the changes in the NCAA and that bridge that you're talking about, I don't know that it's destroyed sitting here and what that looks like. I think that there is a lot to where you see the extremes. And we do have some challenges that we need to fix and address within the NCAA structure, and building consistency and getting out of lawsuits. I think we're all in need of that. But, what I would say is I like that you're talking to all of the commissioners to get a broader base and what that looks like. I think, mid-major institutions and even the group of 5 or 6, however you want to count it. But I think that piece is really building in and still has a lot of that focus. So I think that, I wouldn't say that the bridge is gone. I just think that there's a lot out there to where you see the extremes of things. Not everybody's sharing $20 million in revenue. And so I think that the student athlete stories, we had a young man who had an opportunity to make a lot of money, and he chose to stay at the institution that had been there from him all the way through, and ended up being our player of the year and making a big statement on the national scene. And so I think that those stories don't get told as much as the quarterback who got $5 million. And so I don't know that would, but I think what you're doing with talking to all of the commissioners and being able to have a broader scope of what is being told, and it's not just what's in the ticker, it is extremely helpful. So I'd probably continue. You can call it a cheat answer.
I appreciate that, and I thank you, because I do believe that everyone should have an even playing field, and at least on this show I can provide that if it's not provided anywhere else. What is your final question for me, Rebekah?
We talk a lot about, our commissioners talk a lot about consistency and needing consistency in the landscape. NIL and the House settlement and how that came forward, I think you're right in the 2020 and how things, if the transfer legislation had changed without the NIL legislation changing, or vice versa, I think we'd be living in a slightly different landscape, or a very different landscape for that matter. But they came together. So with the House settlement and NIL, do you think it's evolving in the way that it was intended? Those student athletes, do you feel like they are, they like the way that this is working?
I think it depends on the school, right? Depends on how they're going to give it. I've always, and I've said this, and I'll use this as an example, if I'm a quarterback making $5 million, I'm on my butt unless my offensive line's good. So if I'm making $5 million, I personally would be like, I would say to my own line, how much are you guys making? They'd be like, $1,000 a week. I'd be like, all right, you know what? I'm going to double down. I'm going to make sure you guys have some of this. I don't need all this money. You take some of this and keep on doing what you do. I think the House settlement, I don't think it's sustainable, because it's 20.5, but they said year over year it's going to go up. There's going to be percentage increases potentially. So how can a school afford that? In today's climate and everything we have going on, how does a school take everything that they have to do and then find $20 million for their student athletes, which essentially is pay for play, because you're creating a bank account for your student athletes? So that's not NIL. None of this is, I know what name, image, and likeness is. I built my brand. My company's almost 14 years old. I said, conferences, in my opinion, it would behoove a commissioner to call me and have me come out to an event that, you have with the UAC moving forward to talk with the student athletes about name, image, and likeness, because I live it every day and I built an entire business off of it. So I was doing this before it was called that. And I think that education is something that's needed. And I think there's a lot of fun to this. There's a lot of excitement to this. There's a lot of opportunity for people to show their personalities and what they're about and let that live, and to use your best asset, which is being yourself. So I think there's a lot of good that can be done with this if they do it right, and they haven't. So now it's time to figure that out. And I've literally toyed with the idea of reaching out to conferences saying, would you like me to come do, a day or two with student athletes to really show them what it means to brand themselves? Because there's a way to do it, and there's a lot of wrong ways to do it, and I think they should know those things.
Education is a huge part. I mean, it's all we do, right?
Yeah.
Trying to create that bridge in education. So
My last question for you, Rebekah. All right, I'm going to go to food because I'm Italian and Hispanic, so I got to go to food and I'm hungry. So if you could create any meal that's simply called the Rebekah Ray, and we're in Arlington. So, by the way, shout out to Hurtado that has the best tostadas, and it's in Arlington, Texas. So I got to ask you this. Pick the restaurant, pick the dish. What is going to be the Rebekah Ray? If we're going to go to Arlington, we're going to get it. Where are we getting it, and what is it?
Oh, okay. So, I like my gut, if I'm just hungry, hangry, whatever that is, my brain doesn't think about anything but pizza. So, to my husband's demise, I think that it would have to be a pizza. And there's a restaurant, it's actually in Arlington, and there's one in Fort Worth where I live. So, it hits all the spots. But it is Cane Rosso, and it's got a pizza with some spicy pepperonis and peppers, and that would probably be mine. That's my gut choice when the brain doesn't work.
What is your husband's first name?
Cornelius.
So Cornelius, let me tell you something. When a woman gets hangry, if she picks pizza, you pick the right person. So that's what I'll say to Cornelius. Yeah. It's not a bad day to have pizza if you get the right pizza. So with that being said, for the WAC, which will be coming the United Athletic Conference, the UAC, and take that football away from it, it's going to be more than just football. So let's know what the UAC is going to be. We'll continue the conversation with Rebekah. I think we kind of barely scratched the surface here. So love to have you back on the show. Appreciate your time here from Arlington, Texas in this edition of the Commissioner Corner. And I look forward to talking with you soon.
Thanks so much. Have a great day, Dan.
You too. Take care. That coming once again from Rebekah Ray here in this edition of the Commissioner Corner, and the opportunity that we have to tell the story of these wonderful commissioners, wonderful leaders across the country, and giving everybody an even playing field. So make sure that you take the time to watch these as they happen live, and of course watch them back as well here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. I cannot thank you enough for being a part of the show, and I thank you so much for being here. We're going to take one final step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. We'll wrap things up right after this.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks comes to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. They're open for you Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Make sure you head out there for singles, packs, boxes, graded cards, and more. They got something for everyone. They have the trading card games, the TCG world of Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, and so much more. Disney Lorcana, One Piece, as well as your sports favorites, the teams you love and the players you love. Go be a big kid at GG Cards and Breaks today. Big time thanks to Chick-fil-A in DeWitt as well. Head out to Chick-fil-A in DeWitt on the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard. Get your favorites that you love to have at Chick-fil-A in DeWitt, including their new frosted beverages where you can get a Coke Zero but have it frosted this time around. A lot of great stuff at Chick-fil-A in DeWitt. Giant parking lot, double drive-through, massive brick building with plenty of space inside. Go and visit Megan Sorber and her team and get that awesome Chick-fil-A flavor that you know you just can't miss today by going to the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard. Big time thanks for all of you watching and listening to today's show. Have a beautiful day. God bless. No stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon. Stay safe, and thank you to Binghamton University for being our exclusive multimedia marketing partner. And take care, and we'll talk soon.